Hello and welcome to this edition. Technically, the technical, opening day edition of Big Scott 35 and Pop Talk Baseball. That was a lot of words. We missed last week. I was out of town and just tired and run down, and the hour time this time really got to me, Dad. I think working first shift every day, getting up every day at 5:30 messed me up because it just felt like my body's like it is not time to get up.
I have more trouble. It shouldn't be this way, but I have more trouble getting used to when the fall. It takes me 3, 4, 5 days. It took me 2 nights to get used to this, but in the fall, when we turn that clock, when you fall back that hour, you'll get an extra hour of sleep. No, I won't. I'll get up an hour early.
Right.
So I mean, it is what it is. I'm became cankerous. So
yeah, I guess in the baseball world, the big news is injury bug. I mean, it always is, but
yeah, and I don't have everything down here. I mean, I just don't, because first of all, if you don't have an oblique injury, you're probably not playing.
Right.
There's people on every team, I think, have an oblique injury.
Well, I think it's more of a fear, like we'll shut them down week before the season starts, 2 weeks. Let them just kind of get some swings in here and there. And
Sean Murphy.
It's almost like preseason football this year, how many people are not participating.
Right. Well, it's been almost 2 weeks since we did a show. We skipped last week, and there was one before we skipped, so we missed a couple in the last month or so. But this week, the regular season starts on the 27th, which is the following week. But the Dodgers and Cubs play Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock, and it's on FS1 if anybody's interested. 6 o'clock Tuesday morning. And I'm saying Tuesday instead of tomorrow morning because this comes out on Monday, but we're taping it on Sunday afternoon.
Right.
So. But Sean Murphy, the catcher for the Braves, 2 weeks ago, he was hit by a pitch and cracked a rib, and he's going to be out at least a month and maybe 6 weeks. So they're thinking that the prospect Drake Baldwin might win the job to catch in Atlanta. The Yankees, Luis Gil has a high-grade lat strain in his right shoulder, and he's out 6 weeks, now 5. And, of course, Garrett Cole has got to have Tommy John surgery, which is devastating. I mean, that's like Atlanta losing Strider last year. You lose your ace, and you're in trouble. Yeah. The Yankees still have a real good team. Don't get me wrong, but it's a good thing they didn't trade Stroman because they need him now.
Right.
I'd have to say I watched a little over a week ago. I was watching the Dodgers and the Angels in a preseason game, and Yamamoto was pitching for the Dodgers, and I don't know if you remember the name Don Gullett. But Don Gullett was a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds when they had the Big Red Machine. In fact, for a couple of years, he was their ace. Now, Don Gullett would give up 3 runs in the first inning and none in the next 8. But he was one of those pitchers that had a rough first inning. They tried different things. They'd try to warm up earlier in the bullpen, do all kinds of stuff. And he just had rough first innings. Well, Yamamoto's the same way. And I was watching this game, and he gave up 3 runs, and they were ripping him. I mean, I'm going, this guy, he's not showing me anything. Then he pitched through the 4th. In the next 3 innings, they couldn't touch the ball, especially with a splitter. But he's one of those guys that his first inning, he might have a rough time. San Diego signed Jose Iglesias, the singer, to a 1-year deal. I can't believe the Mets didn't sign him because he hit over 265 last year. The last game of the year, he hit over 300.
Right. And Nick Madrigal was the guy that was going to replace him.
And he got hurt.
He got hurt, and they still had time to sign him between that. I just think that he wanted too much for. They wanted a hometown discount for everything that happened with him last year, and he wasn't going to get it.
Right.
You know, and rightfully so. He that was not a normal season for a backup. I mean, he played almost every day in a different position and did what he did. Yeah, at one time he was batting 300, and whoever got him is getting a great ball.
I was impressed. Yeah, San Diego got him. They got a good ball player.
Yeah.
The Milwaukee signed Jose Quintana 1 year with a team option for a second year. The farm, they ranked the farm teams. And remember, Baltimore was number one for about 3 or 4 years. Well, they're now 15th because they traded a few guys and they've called up some. So they don't have the same farm system. The number one farm team now is Detroit. Tampa's number 2. Boston's number 3. The Dodgers are number 4. Seattle number 5. And the Red Sox 6. Milwaukee 7. The Cubs 8. Cleveland 9. And Minnesota 10. As I said, Baltimore's 15. The Nationals are 13 and the Mets are 12. So they're all the Orioles, Mets, and Nationals are all in the teams, which is not bad. And for the Nats, that's a lot better. It says the Flying Squirrels probably won't be that very good in Richmond because they're in San Francisco's farm system is not very good. But anyway, the Sacramento A's, they re-upped Lawrence Butler, their right fielder, for 7 years for $65 million. He hit 302 last year. He had 302, 346, and 597 slugging.
How many stolen bases did he have? Do you have that?
No, I don't have that. Okay. But I'm telling you, Sacramento has done a job of signing their people. Yeah. They've signed people and added people. In fact, they polled the players. I have 2 players polls this morning. They polled the players last week and asked them who they picked as the most surprising team. And the A's, Sacramento A's, was the number 1 team for most surprising, followed by the Red Sox, the Reds, the Pirates, and a tie for 5th, Arizona and Kansas City. I don't have a problem with Arizona, but I do with Kansas City. They made the playoffs last year. Right. So not going to surprise anybody if they make the playoffs. They made it last year. But anyway, okay. Detroit, they signed pitcher Jose Urquidy, 1 year, $1 million, and $4 million in incentives. I talked about Garrett Cole out with Tommy John surgery, and he's 34 years old. So he won't be back until he'll miss all of next year and probably won't be back for the start of the following year. And he'll be 35, almost 36. So hopefully he'll be back because I'm not a Yankee fan, but he's fun to watch pitch. All right. The Red Sox.
It feels like, Dad, you have soft spots for the Yankees.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, there's certain players, for the Yankees over the years since I was a kid, how could you not? When you're a kid watching Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra, how could you not root for those 2 guys? I mean, it's just Brayan Bello for the Red Sox. He's going on IR for the season with his shoulder. For the opening of the season with his shoulder. They also lost Lucas Giolito. He's on our IR with a left hamstring problem. So those are two of their starting pitchers. The Mets, Jeff McNeil is out 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique. Gee whiz. And they're not going to build a new ballpark in St. Petersburg.
I was going to see if you're going to get to that.
Yeah, they're not going to build because of the threat of hurricane and delays in the contracting and getting the permits. So the owner came out and said no way was he going to sell the team. So he's not going to sell the team, and he's not going to build a new ballpark. He's only got one other option. He's got to move it somewhere where they can build a major league ballpark.
I'm sorry, they need to move it somewhere. I have some friends down there, and it's always nice to go out to a game. Well, then go, because that's the problem. It's like nobody goes, and we were talking on a friend thread, and I was like, I love the Ring of the Expos coming back. I mean,
Well, yeah, put them back in Montreal.
Montreal has a group trying to bring baseball back, and
North Carolina would love to have a major league team.
North Carolina, there's a group here. I think it's led by Jordan, if I'm not mistaken, and Portland. I know
Oklahoma
Birmingham,
City. Oklahoma City. Puerto Rico wants a team, but
yeah, I think the same problem you would have with the Hurricanes is what you would have.
Well, not only that, you'd still have a problem with Hurricanes, but then again, so you trying to get people. If you're going to go there and play a few games, you're going to draw fans. But the cost of living in Puerto Rico, the wage scale in Puerto Rico is way lower than most of the continental United States. It'd be hard for them to sell out 52.
Can't do much worse than they're doing now.
Well, I mean, that's for sure. I mean, if they put a cardboard cutouts in the stands, it'd be better than what they're doing now. But that's, but I mean, now it's up in the air what they're going to do. The owner said he's not going to sell, but there are people asking them to sell because they're making offers. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to, because people are like, what is it going to just keep playing in minor league ballparks? I mean, what's going on? So
you probably draw the same number of fans, but that's beside.
Yeah, probably cheaper.
yeah, it's cheaper.
More money.
Yeah. The other poll that the players were asked to, they were asked to pick who they thought was the best player in Major League Baseball right now. And number 5 was Corey Seager. He got the 5th most votes. Mookie Betts got the 4th place. Aaron Judge 3rd. Bobby Witt Jr. 2nd, and Shohei got 1st.
So what does that tell you about players in Major League? If I was a players poll, that playing the field means a lot more than pitching.
Exactly. Bobby Witt's defense and Corey Seager's defense mean a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I was waiting to hear, Strider or when he's top-notch pitchers, but you didn't hear it. I mean,
no.
Just told
they didn't say – they just said best player. They didn't say best position player.
Right.
Oh, and the other thing, Mookie Betts is sick. He's ill with the flu, and they say he will not make the starting lineup Tuesday morning. I saw that on MLB this morning. And the manager of the Dodgers signed an extension also, so they keep him around for longer. And both he and the Yankee manager signed. Roberts, and Boone, they signed extensions. And people that criticize them, I don't understand. I don't know what you expect from these guys. I mean, just because they have real good players doesn't mean that they still don't have to manage.
Yeah, it doesn't translate. Yeah, automatic.
Because the one thing a manager or a coach has to do, just like a boss in any job, you have to manage personalities, and you have to make people work as a team, and that's not always easy. It's not always easy, and both Roberts and Boone have done a great job, and he's going to have a thing. It's going to be I'm interested to see what they do in New York. Oh, and Stanton, he received injections in both his elbows, and they're still hurting so bad he may have to have surgery. And if he has surgery, he won't play this year. And at his age,
I heard that might be the end of it.
Yeah, if he has surgery this year, that might be the end of his career. That's what I had heard. But who knows? I mean, I just don't know. At least he's done.
I mean, that's such a great hitter. Sad.
Well, at least his elbows aren't messed. I mean, his elbows are messed up. He doesn't have an oblique problem. I mean, that's
right. But see, somebody like that, if he would have, I mean, could you imagine his career if he had a healthy?
If he had been healthy, I mean, we saw him in his prime when he was with Miami.
Yeah,
the Marlins. We saw him in his prime in Washington with the Marlins hitting the ball 7,000 feet. I mean, he was and he was an outstanding outfielder and had a heck of an arm.
Yep.
But he just, after the first couple of years, he couldn't stay healthy, and that happens to a lot of players. They can't stay healthy, and it's a shame, but it is what it is. I mean, it's going to be exciting. I'll I walk in the mall in the morning, but I may skip Tuesday morning and turn on the baseball.
Yeah, it's gotta go to work. So, man, it's
Or
I'll
just,
be
you
up
can record it.
Huh?
You can record it and watch it in the evening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure MLB will play it again, or somebody will have it on again that night.
Yeah, look, again, it's on the FS1, 6 o'clock Tuesday morning, and I believe they play Wednesday morning also. So I think they play back to back. I think it's 2 days in a row.
Right.
And this morning they had the Cubs were playing the Yomiuri Giants.
Yeah, I knew they were going to play some. I didn't know if they were going to do the All-Star team Japanese games or were they going to play actual.
Yeah, they were playing the Yomiuri Giants, and who was it? It was one of the Cub players. He finishes at bat, and he went back to the dugout, and this little Japanese boy was right by the screen, screaming and screaming and screaming. And that player looked up and saw him and went into the dugout and came back out and took that little boy and stuck it in the fence there by the mesh, gave him his batting gloves and a baseball. That little boy went berserk. I mean, he just lit up. Except it goes to show you there's no language barrier or anything when it comes to baseball. Baseball is a universal language, like basketball. Basketball is played everywhere, soccer is played everywhere, and now baseball is played all over the world. So these are, and to a certain extent, golf. Golf is becoming more popular with a lot of young people around the world. So the problem with golf is you can't build golf courses everywhere. You can have a basketball court and a baseball field, but it's hard to build golf courses everywhere. But anyway, it was great to see that. That little guy he must have been about 5 or 6. I mean, he was just so happy. So, I mean, that Cub, that young man's going to grow up and everybody in Japan is going to be rooting for the Dodgers, but one guy.
Right.
That little guy's going to be rooting for the Cubs. I can tell you that right now. Yeah. So anyway, but that's all I've got today. I mean, like I said, I didn't write down all the injuries because I could have, I would have had a sheet of paper this long.
Yeah. Well, this time of year, we always have the injury bug, but this year, just the names, what's hurting, it's like out 6 weeks type.
Oh yeah, and Scherzer is going to start the season on the IL too. He's got a messed up thumb or something, thumb or finger somewhere, something. So,
just retire.
Mr. Social Security check and go home.
No doubt. You're just making your career. I mean, people are questioning. Everybody remembers your last few years. They don't remember in your prime. That's why you're talking
about Giancarlo Stanton. If he would have stayed healthy,
he would have been that name. The five
he might have been in the Hall of Fame one day. But he was hurt so much. You can't.
Well, that was my thought. Like players like that, it's a shame. And I mean, I think we're going to have the same discussion about Trout one day. Just hurt so much.
Who's that?
Trout.
Oh yeah. I think Trout, after his first 10 years, he's going to make the Hall of Fame. Now, I don't think there's any question.
I hope so, but
I don't think there's any question. And we got to see how he does this year.
Right. Well, first he's got to play.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We got to see how when the season starts, how much he plays.
Yeah. Right now, the fish that played the most games for the Angels is Mike Salmon. So, but that's I don't really have anything else. I mean, I didn't have time to prepare. And next week we'll do our throw out our what we think everybody's going to end up at.
We'll do. I'm thinking next week we do our predictions because that's when the regular season really starts.
Right.
They're just 2 games this week, the Cubs and the Dodgers, and one team might be in last place and the other in first, or they'll both be 1-1. So.
Right. Yeah, so that we'll just wait till next week, and then we'll talk more about that. Hopefully, no more no good players or starters, I should say, get hurt, and maybe we'll have some excitement on who plays teams. Yeah, go ahead.
I watched some of the spring breakout games. I didn't see all of any of them, but I saw a few innings of each one of them. The Red Sox, they were playing Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay's team won the game. But the Red Sox top 3 prospects, each one of them hit a home run, 2 of them back to back. And those 3 young men were impressive at the plate. Tampa Bay had a left-handed pitcher who was 19 years old, and I think he's slated for A ball, and they said he might make it all the way up to AAA before the season's out.
I'm trying to think. Is he the one that could throw either hand?
He didn't in that game. He was just left-handed, and I mean, he was impressive. He was impressive. I can't remember the young man's name, but he was impressive. And I watched a little bit the Yankees and the Orioles. They played. I mean, you can tell they're minor league kids. They're just kids. But I mean, you can see the talent. The Orioles had this one kid playing in the outfield, and it looked like he could throw the ball out of the stadium. Because he liked to show off his arm. Even when there was nobody on base, he was throwing the ball to third. I mean, but it was. I watched a few of the games, a few innings of each game, and I was impressed. But those 3 kids for Boston, they all and each had home runs. And what was impressive was 2 of them were opposite field, and that always signifies good power, and it also shows he's got good bat presence.
Yeah. Well, that's always interesting to hear. Prospecting and all that stuff. I need to look at it a little bit more. I haven't had a lot of time. What little time I have, I'm goofing off more than doing.
Well, there's a lot going on right now. There's a Players Championship golf this weekend, which is in a rain delay now, and Tennessee's playing Florida for the SEC champion. And tonight they do the brackets, so everybody's going to watch that. And then we have March Madness, which I love. I love college basketball, so that's coming up. So there's a lot going on this spring. And Oh, and the USFL.
Even I know that the best player in the country is hurt. So
That said something last night. Duke lost both their the number 1 player in the country hurt his ankle in the game against North Carolina. Georgia Tech, and their best defensive player, who his shoulder keeps popping in and out, it went out again. He missed 6 weeks before and came back, and it went out again. So they were both out of that game. They won that game, and then they came back and beat Carolina barely, and then they won handily over Louisville. They were losing, and then they came back and beat them handily. For them to win the way they did, losing their 2 best players, their best defensive player and their best all-around player, probably the number 1 player in the country and the number 1 draft pick in the NBA.
Yeah, that's why people don't think he's coming back. He ain't going to try to come back.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't care how much NIL money there is at Duke. When you go in the NBA, that's big bucks up there.
Yeah. Especially number 1 pick. Yeah.
That's where he's going. He's going to go up there.
Yeah.
I'll never see him again because I don't watch the NBA, and he'll probably get drafted by Washington anyway and never win a game. So
poor guy. Yeah. Well, we're going to end you on that with a little basketball talk there.
Well, one more. I do have one Yogiism.
Oh, go ahead.
And that is, he went 0 for 19 and 2 for 21. And after a game, one of the news guys asked him, how did it feel to be in a slump? And he said, slump? I ain't in no slump. I'm just not hitting. Because he figured this is his. I always explain his logic. This was his logic. Even if I don't get a hit for 25 days in a row, the 26th day, I will get a hit.
Right.
I'm going to get a hit tomorrow, so I'm not in a slump.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's funny. And so we're going to end you with that. And till next time, like, share, tell a friend. Thank you to all the new subscribers. If you have any questions for us or you want us to explain any of our thoughts, which probably would be quick because our thoughts ain't much. But anyway, let us know in the comments below. And until next time, see ya.